Welcome back. I'm Representative Patricia Morgan, and today we're talking with Representative Blake Filippi, who is a really strong and able advocate for the people of his district, which is District 36.
Block Island, Charlestown, South Kingstown, and Westerly.
Yes, you know, you actually are a very strong and able legislator, and I always have enjoyed listening to you on the floor and some of the arguments that you make. They make so much sense, and it's always a disappointment that the other side doesn't listen and respond to them.
Well, sometimes I think the arguments are so compelling that they do take little pieces here and there. Like the video surveillance we'll talk about in a few minutes. They accepted one of the amendments I put in.
Yes, they did.
To make an awful bill
but
a little less
terrible. But it tends to be along partisan lines. It's not about policy, unfortunately. And just as kind of an introduction to this part of the segment, where we're looking back at the session, and for me there were two themes there. Is one, it's easy to spend other people's money, and two, they're not really listening to the average person out here. We know that we were just talking about $227 million worth of bonds put on the ballot. And they know that people generally just vote for those bonds. I don't think folks have figured out they actually have to pay those back. But inside those bonds was one for the Providence Port, Provport.
Came on the floor, budget night, last minute, $20 million.
Last minute, hadn't been discussed. It wasn't discussed in the Finance Committee thoroughly. It did come up at one point, but it wasn't a thorough examination. And now as you read the newspaper articles, there's brownfields that are associated with it. So the 20 million could possibly balloon into a lot more. We know brownfield cleanup is really expensive.
Well, let's take it back to 50,000 feet. I don't even think that the Provport, that trash, that disgusting trash on the waterfront should even be there. All that garbage should be somewhere in Quonset, and that whole waterfront area should be beautiful hotels and condominiums and concert halls and waterfront restaurants.
Sure. Like that, there's a Baltimore waterfront that's
Baltimore,
where they took a waterfront like that and changed it over.
Yep, down in Philadelphia, they have a beautiful waterfront. If you think we're the ocean state and our capital city is completely cut off from Narragansett Bay by 195, you don't go south of 195. You don't walk south of 195.
No, you don't.
It's
and it's
metal
a beautiful,
recycling.
it's a beautiful, the bay.
It's gorgeous.
It's the waterfront.
And it's been taken over by this disgusting metals recycling. And I'm happy they run a good business. All power to them. But,
no, I think they're in receivership.
Okay, well maybe they don't run a good business, but conceptually.
But the taxpayers will take that on too.
Conceptually, long term, that area, there shouldn't be any more smut and strip clubs and metals recycling. It should be a beautiful area that you want to take your family to, and it's just not now.
I think that as I looked at this proposal, it is to expand the port, not to make it a beautiful area for
exactly. We're going the wrong
recreation.
way. We're going the wrong way with this bond. It's building on top of poor planning. All that trash should be in Quonset.
Yeah. So there
they want $20 million to expand a port that shouldn't be there.
Well, and then kind of cynically, in my point of view, they've tied that to the Quonset bonds, so that people will just see Quonset and not see Providence Port.
They didn't segregate it, so there's one question.
It should be segregated out. I think people should defeat it.
I do too, because the Quonset one I like, but they tacked on this ugly stepchild to the Quonset, the $20 million for Provport, and put it in one question on the ballot. There should be two separate questions.
And I think
one
that's
for Quonset,
cynical.
One for Provport. But they wanted Provport. If you look at the bill run, Senator Ruggiero, the majority leader in the Senate, this was his bill on the Senate side, was to appropriate this money for Provport. And so somewhere in negotiations between the Finance Committee, the House Finance Committee approving the budget, and the budget hitting the floor, a deal was struck where the Senate demanded, and upon information and belief, the Senate demanded that the $20 million bond go in the budget.
Because the state's taxpayers will be buying something that hasn't been vetted in public and could balloon into a much larger expenditure. So I think they should just defeat both of them. We can always vote for Quonset down the road.
Agreed. And there's potential brownfields. I don't know if it's been said, there's potential brownfields.
That's where they could balloon into a huge liability.
Where they want to buy this land, it could be a Superfund site.
It could be, which could be
tread carefully.
enormous amount of money. But, all right, so there's the debt, then there's the tolls. They voted for a $45 million at minimum tax on vehicles in our state. So that was more money they grabbed this year. And that wasn't enough. They actually put through a vehicle surveillance system. They authorized that around schools.
Yes.
And right now, our school area is 300 feet. They made it a quarter of a mile around every school to have, do we call these red light cameras?
So the red light cameras on steroids, essentially what they are cameras that track your speed, and if you go over the speed limit within a quarter mile of any type of school in the state, they will send you a ticket.
Any time of the day, too, because we brought that up.
It could be 3 a.m., it could be in the middle of the summer when no kids are in school.
24/7.
1/4 mile around any type of school. And the bill was just poorly drafted. It didn't even say what any type of school is. Could it be daycare,
Yes.
pre-K, a Montessori school in someone's house? So in an urban area like Providence, Pawtucket, your entire city is going to be under this surveillance dragnet where if you speed, you could be sent a ticket in the mail.
You know,
what a revenue source for the government.
Well, they said it was revenue positive for municipalities, which should make everybody quake in their shoes. But we asked them about the bill, and they couldn't explain it very well. I know we said, well, why did you take it from 300 feet to a quarter of a mile? There was...
The school zone from 300 feet to a quarter of a mile.
And they had no answer.
No answer.
They really had no rationalization on why they had expanded it 5 times.
And some of our highways are within quarter miles of schools. So now are we authorizing speed cameras on highways to automatically send you tickets?
I mean, a quarter of a mile is a huge area. We also asked
That's a quarter mile radius, right? A radius, so diameter, that's over a half a mile. You have a quarter mile on one side, the school, and then a quarter mile on the other side.
So it's a half a mile straight across.
So it's a half a mile
Think
straight,
about
half a
that.
mile, big circles all over the place.
It will particularly, I think, hit Providence very hard.
Yeah, and the minority
but it can
populations.
hit any community.
You come out to a rural community like mine, we have a few schools, it's not the whole town. You have a city like Providence, the entire city will be under a dragnet. It's going after minority populations disproportionately.
Yes. We also asked if they had statistics about the number of children who had actually gotten hurt.
There was no data.
And there's none.
There's no data to
There's
back this
none.
up.
So, cynically, I tend to be a cynic anymore. I wasn't before I was a legislator. I guess all those parking meters that Providence has popped up all over is not filling the bill. It's not filling the coffers enough.
Providence needs to get its act together. The state really needs to look at whether we're going to keep
But
subsidizing
that's the
this
jeopardy
now.
for average Rhode Islanders. Providence isn't making enough from parking meters. They still need more money to close their budget short gap. So are these cameras now, a half a mile circle, going to be used to fill the gap, the budget gap?
I think that's a rhetorical question. If the government
It
has
is
the,
a rhetorical
if the government
question,
has
I
the
don't know.
ability to stick its paw in your pocket and take out cash, it will.
Yes. Boy, then that's a sobering thought, but very well spoken. So as we look at the budget, at the session, there were a few good things that came from it. You got a little bit of a break on your beach fees, but for that you are paying a lot more. To me, this was a disappointing session, quite frankly, because it grabbed more people's money, took it out of their wallets, and put it in the government's not very efficient hands.
It perpetuated the centrally planned economy, not a free market, free enterprise economy.
Yeah.
That's the problem in this state. Which direction do we want to go?
Well, it's a lost opportunity, and more than anything, the people of Rhode Island need our government to work efficiently and effectively and get our economy running again. So, thank you for coming. We'll see you next time.